know, I'm really trying to cut back on my coffee intake, but so far it's not going too great, so there's that. We are gonna get personal today, and it's something that I've been wanting to talk about on my channel for a while, and here we are today in 2020 talking about it, so cheers. Hello gorgeous, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new, and if you are new, it would mean so much if you guys hit the subscribe button to join my YouTube family because I do upload every Tuesday and Thursdays. As you guys could tell by the title, today is gonna be my horrendous birth control experience. I'm gonna spill a lot of tea that was going on during that time of my life, and I think it's important to talk about because if this can help with someone that can relate to me or help anyone out there, this is why I love doing these type of kind of chit chat story times. I feel comfort to know that I could help anyone. This is a really emotional time for me that I now have started to open up, and as you guys saw, I started to upload story times on my ghosting story and when I got let go from my job. But there was one thing going on during that entire time, and that was my birth control experience. Thumbs up if you guys like my story times. I will have my playlist down below. Leave any of your experiences down below. I love reading your comments. This is probably gonna be a long one because I'm gonna go really in depth, but let's just get right into it. Of course, birth control can be used for many reasons. One, I feel like the most popular reason as a contraceptive, but it can be used for other reasons as well, such as like regulating periods and acne, which is why I went on the birth control I was on. Let's rewind all the way back to when I was young and I started getting pimples and acne and got to indulge in that world that we oh so love. When I hit puberty, I feel like that's probably when I started to get a couple pimples here and there, and then in high school it just kept going, and I am currently struggling with acne, and it's just amazing. We love that. For as long as I can remember, I was picked on about my skin. I was called pepperoni face, what's that on your face, ever since I pretty much started getting pimples, and it just made me into such an insecure girl. And I feel like a lot of the times girls in particular would use that against me if they just like didn't like me for some reason. They would talk bad about my skin and my appearance, and I feel like that is such a low blow that unfortunately I feel like a lot of women, especially when you're going through high school and stuff, use is people point out your appearance. Even men do this as well, and it's horrible because it's like so wrong and rude, and it's something that you can't control, and everyone's beautiful, but during that time when you're growing up as a teenager, it's so hard. You're going through so much. It just really brings your confidence down. And I really struggled since that point, and I started really noticing my acne. I hated my skin. It was to the point where I literally like didn't even want to look at myself in the mirror. So when I would go to the bathroom at school and I would, you know how girls like sit there and do their makeup or something in the mirror, like fix their hair, I would just walk by, wash my hands and get out because I could not look at my skin because it bothered me so much. I would even be that person that when I was talking to someone, I could never look at them in their face because I felt like they were staring at my pimples on my skin. So I would always like look down and kind of like not look eye to eye, and it's just so sad to think about how I was back in high school. I just felt so judged when it was something that I could not control. I spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on everything under the sun. I tried every sort of cream, every single program, and medications, went to a million different salons to help with like facials and all that stuff, and nothing would work no matter what I tried. Promoted in the media is to have like clear, perfect skin. So when you're growing up seeing those images and you don't have that, you feel like you're not good or you're not beautiful enough, and also people may pick on you about it, and it just makes you feel so little and insecure. Now let's move on to why I ended up on birth control. I was seeing many dermatologists, many doctors. I went to my doctor and I just kind of went to her because at the time I knew someone from university that was on Accutane, and I wanted to just bite the bullet and just go get Accutane. I heard it can be extremely hard on the body, but at this point I just did not care. I just wanted these pimples off of my face and I would do anything for it. So I was about 18, I believe, at the time, and I went into the doctors. I want Accutane, like, can I get it? And my doctor was actually very hesitant. Can we try something else before doing Accutane? And so she introduced me to taking birth control for acne. So there are actually a different variety of birth controls for acne. By no means am I saying, by the way, that like birth control will do this to everyone, because I've definitely heard all different experiences on birth control. This is just my personal experience. It just did not go that well for me. So I just wanted to share it just so that you're aware that things like this could happen, and if it is happening, to always like talk to your doctor and make sure that you get it under control, because there was definitely a time that I was getting out of control and I was just not doing anything about it, and it led to a really scary place in my life that I want to finally like just kind of be open with you guys and talk about. Talking to other women, like I've heard some of their experiences now and they've had like similar experiences. I went to my doctor and I'm like, okay, fine, because I was kind of hesitant to do the whole Accutane route anyways. I was really scared about it. So I was like, you know what, I'll try this. So she puts me on a birth control for acne. Of course, this birth control can be used as a contraceptive, but it was given to me for my skin. So I started taking this pill and I just noticed that it didn't really do much, and my stomach was really hurting on it, and I wasn't sure if my stomach was constantly hurting because I was on these pills, and I don't get that anymore, so I obviously do put it together with those pills. I don't know what happened during that time when I was 18, but I ended up just getting off the birth control. I feel like it didn't work and there was no point of getting it constantly and taking it when it was doing nothing for me. Once I got off it, I kind of went ahead, you know, and my acne was just still there, still struggling. And I went all through university. I didn't really want to do Accutane at that time anyways, because when you do take Accutane, you shouldn't be drinking, and I was legal finally for the first time. And of course, when you're in university and you're legal, a lot of my girlfriends would go out and we'd have drinks, and I just didn't want to do that. So I just went ahead and dealt with my acne, tried like, you know, different like ways to help control it a little bit more. Then I was done university, I believe, or maybe I was just finishing. And I kind of was like, you know what, I want to go back on something to help with my skin. So I made an appointment with my doctor, and she went ahead and prescribed me this new birth control that was for acne. And now this second birth control is when everything went completely downhill for me. I went on to this birth control and I was paying for it every single month. At first, I didn't really notice anything. Like, I didn't notice a difference in myself. I was actually really happy because these birth control pills made my skin completely clear. It even changed the texture of my skin, and I felt so confident. It was like the first time I felt confident without wearing makeup. It's kind of sad because I never felt confident without wearing makeup before because of my skin, and I always felt like I needed to, and I would spend so long every single day putting on makeup, not because I necessarily wanted to, because I felt like I had to, because I felt people would judge me because of my skin. Not long after I was like on these pills and my skin was clear, a lot of stuff went downhill in my life. My life turned upside down as how I knew it, and it was just not a good point in my life. It was definitely a road bump, a speed bump. It was just a roller coaster mess for me. As you guys know, I started to finally open up about a lot of things during that time that happened to me, and I never opened up 100%. So here we are today. So as you guys know, near this time, I was let go from my job, which I did a whole video on that, and you guys saw it probably. If you haven't, you guys could just check out my Storytime playlist. And then, of course, I got ghosted, which I finally shared that story this year, or last year, the end of last year. It finally dropped, and you guys loved that video. So I was going through that, and they basically happened one after the other. And then after that, near that time, I bought a car right before I got let go. I had to give my car back because my income was obviously taken away from me. So I returned my car. As you guys could tell, I was really struggling, and I did a couple of videos where I was just a mess. I was definitely a mess more than what I showed on my channel. I just like thought, you know, not everyone wants to see me crying every single day on my YouTube channel. I was also dealing with a friendship loss, and something I talked about very briefly but just like couldn't get the words out to talk to you guys about was, I said in, I believe, one of my videos like years ago that I was going through like health issues and, you know, stuff like that, but I didn't get too much into detail. And actually that year, that exact same year when everything was going on, I had a cancer scare. So I am completely fine now. It's completely all good. I had to do the steps to make sure that I did not have cancer, and it's come back fine as of now. So that's really good. But at that time, I just like was in shock, and I just like kept it in with myself. And it was so scary. What is going on in my life? Like, what's happening with my life right now? I was going from just out of school, had my full-time career, just bought my dream car, and had this like boyfriend that I thought was amazing at the time. This is perfect. Everything's going amazing. And I'm such a planner, which is sometimes a problem because you can't plan life. Things are always gonna be thrown at you, and things will continue to be thrown at you. It definitely was the worst point in my entire life thus far. I just felt so miserable, so sad all the time. I felt so depressed, and it just kept intensifying and intensifying. I was still on these pills, so I was like finally had clear skin, but I was miserable. I never really thought that my pills could be affecting me, just because once I took the pills, all these things happened in a row. So I just associated me being sad with everything happening. Like, I just got let go from my job that I thought I'd be there for a very long time and move up in. Like, that was my career. I also like got ghosted, and I didn't even know that was a thing. And then I got this news of potentially having cancer, and then I was losing one of my best friends in the entire world, and I just felt completely lost. I was like, what is going on with my life? Like, I cannot take this anymore. I was on these pills, and I was still taking them day by day. The more I took it, the more my mind was just so bad. Like I said, it just kept intensifying my depression. Like, I couldn't get out of bed for months. I cried every single day for months. I was getting really bad thoughts in my head and really vivid thoughts in my head. I would close my eyes and think of different ways. To be completely open and honest with you guys, it was to the point where it was so bad that I would close my eyes and think of all the different ways on how I should not be here. We are not gonna get emotional. I have definitely struggled with sadness throughout my life, especially if high school is the time that was really difficult for me and kind of really affected me for a long time. But it was never to that point where it was bad. Like, it felt so real, so bad. I thought like I'm always gonna feel like this. I didn't know what was going on with me. During this time too, surprisingly, my channel was actually starting to take off. And it's crazy because at the very beginning of when my channel was taking off, I was so sad in life. And this is why, like, success, and you know, you may think like people's lives are perfect, but you never know what someone is going through. It's always important like to be there for people in your life and kind of just check up on them, because I feel like, especially for that time, I distanced myself a lot from people because I didn't want to talk about it, and that's what people do. They hold it in, and you may think they're like good, but they could be struggling really bad. Have that open communication and like ask how people are doing, because sometimes like people are not doing well, and you will never know that until, unfortunately, it's too late. And it's just something that shouldn't be taboo, and it's something so common. Like, we're humans, we go through so many emotions. There's so many things that we as humans struggle with, and that is completely okay. You're gonna think you're gonna be in like this forever, but trust me, your life is gonna continue, and your life won't stay like this forever. One night I was having a really bad night. I was crying all the time. I felt like I kept getting all these thoughts in my head, and it was really intense. And I remember reaching out to my friend that I didn't talk to for a while, and she's just someone that I know I could call when something's really bad. And I just like didn't talk to her for a while, but I needed to talk to someone because I was so scared for myself. I just needed that person to talk to. And I reached out to my friend and kind of just told her like, I'm sorry, like we didn't talk for a while, but like I really need to talk to someone right now because I'm not okay right now. And I feel like this and that. And she was actually so welcoming and so good, and that is exactly what I needed. And I will always be thankful, and I will remember that day like it happened to me yesterday, just because it was such a big point in my life, and I kind of told her everything. And at this point, I was starting to realize that maybe it's these pills that I'm taking. And it's really, really sad to think, because I had this conflict in my head, like, oh, I finally have clear skin though. Like, I'm finally, you know, like, people are gonna think I'm beautiful because I have clear skin. And that is just so sad that I felt like I needed to feel miserable. But as long as I looked okay for other people, really, that it was worth it, when it completely is not worth your mental health. And I started telling her that I think it's these pills, and I started looking up like side effects of birth control in general. And a side effect can be having bad thoughts and depression. Of course, it's not gonna happen for everyone, and different birth control can affect people differently. So I started talking to her about it. She really was like, you need to get off these pills. I started talking to my parents about it because I kind of like didn't tell anyone. The consensus was that I needed to get off these pills, and I decided to book an appointment with my doctor and talk to her, tell her like what's been going on, because I was holding it in at this point for like a year. Like, I just like was going worse and worse, and I was pretty much rubbing it under the rug, and I was like, oh, I'm fine, it's fine. I don't need help. I don't need to talk to anyone. So that was my first step, where I was finally like, you know what, like, I need help. This is not okay. I cannot live like this for the rest of my life. And actually, I ended up talking to my friend too, and I told her the pills that I was on. It was crazy because I remember this like it was yesterday too. She basically was like, you're on those? They were like in a huge lawsuit. And then I started researching the pills, and this is why it's important to get like a second, third opinion, or even just do your own research. I just trusted my doctor and just took it face value and didn't really ask questions, and I was like, she knows what she's doing. And I was so much younger then too, and I kind of naive, so I never really did my research, and that is something that you need to do. It's really important. So I started researching into it. This company was in a huge lawsuit. There were so many stories of talking about like how it made their emotions out of whack, and it was really bad for them as well. I went through a lot during that year, but these pills are just making it worse. I really think it just intensified my sadness like 100 times. So I went into the doctor's office, and I talked to her, and I kind of told her, I feel depressed. I'm having these thoughts. And she's kind of like, yeah, like that can be a side effect. My face just kind of dropped because I was kind of frustrated, because I feel like that's something that should be told before, but it was also like, you know, I should have researched it as well. So I ended up getting off them, and I never went back on them or any other type of birth control, just because of that experience. I just kind of wanted to be cleansed and not have to deal with that for a while, just because I wanted to go back to normal. And it definitely took a little bit, but I'm not joking you, when I kind of got off them and I feel like they're out of my system, I felt like my brain was cleared. I felt like there was like a fog, and I felt like so different. And then once I was off it, I felt like myself, which is crazy. I can't even, that's like the best I can explain it, but I literally felt like there was like a black cloud over me, and it just like went away. Obviously, I was still like, you know, going through these situations where I was let go from my job, and I got ghosted and this and that and all that. But at this point, I had so many things that were also going right in my life, but I was so miserable I couldn't see it. Like, my YouTube was starting to go uphill, and I started to be able to do this full time, which was my dream. And I'm so thankful for all you guys, because literally this is my passion. I was having so much fun, and of course there were some things that I definitely was still sad about, but I was actually able to be happy and laugh and go out with friends and want to do stuff and not want to sit in my bed and just be sulk in my misery. That is my entire birth control experience, and unfortunately it is a completely negative one. But I do know there are people that are on birth control and they have no side effects, and also the birth control that I was on could be different, just because mine was more related to skin. If something like this is happening, it's not okay. Go make an appointment with your doctor, or try and switch to like a different one, because there are so many different ones, and do your research. But just don't feel like you have to do that to yourself just for a physical trait, because you feel like you'll be more accepted in society if you have clear skin. Because that is definitely how I felt for so long. And becoming older, of course, acne is not something someone like wants, and it's great and you love it. Unfortunately, I wish, you know, it would become a trend, you know, that'd be great. So then I could be like, hey, but unfortunately the media and everything just promotes having bad like pimples as bad and you need clear glowing skin, but don't feel like you have to put yourself in harm just so you can feel accepted and feel beautiful, because you are completely beautiful without having to do that. You know, being in my 20s, I just feel a lot more confident in myself. It was just such a dark time in my life and I'm so past that. Obviously, like, life has gone so different for me now, and I would never want to be in that place anymore or wish that upon anyone, because it was just such a dark place to have those thoughts every day for months upon months. It was horrible. Comment down below if you guys have any experiences or anything like that. I would love to know. This is obviously a case-by-case basis and it also depends on so many other factors. It would mean the world to me if you guys click the subscribe button to join my YouTube family. I do upload every Tuesday and Thursday. I will leave my Storytime playlist down below if you guys want to hear more lighthearted story times, a lot of dating fails. Don't forget to follow me on my Instagram. It's at NICOLETTAXO. And on that note, I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!